And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Lakerholics Spotlight, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Melinda and I covered Terrifier 3, plus everything going on in the video game world for Xbox, PlayStation, and a Nintendo hardware announcement that actually was not really a hardware announcement. Yeah, we'll explain. If you go ahead and check out the Pop Culture Cosmos this weekend, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports Fantasy Football for your last minute fantasy football update. Go ahead and check it out. Chris Ardieri and I dropped the latest one. It's right there in your podcast folders for Inside Sports Fantasy Football. The guys are here from Lakerholics.com. Please go ahead and be part of the conversation when Yami Swoot, a.k.a. Jamie Sweet, Michael Hinrich, and LakerTom, the number one Lakers blogger that's out there. Of course, he is the man behind all that great stuff he does at LakerTom on Twitter, plus also, again, Lakerholics.com. That's Lakerholics.com. Be part of the conversation there today. Big shout out to John Costa's channels, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, Empire Jeff TV, who is probably still on a high after the Dodgers win last night, and he had Joe on the air. So go ahead and check out Empire Jeff TV. Also as well, Lakers in 5. Of course, John McKinley channel. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, happy Saturday, my friend. Always great to have you here. And last but certainly not least, big shout out to all the members that are down below. You've been getting some inside scoops, and in just a little bit, I'm going to drop for our members ahead of anywhere else on the planet, LakerTom's season projections for this year. Yes. I've been popping one a day, guys, for our members, and then close to the season, I'll drop it for everyone else. But members, for just $2.99 a month, you're getting the inside scoop on what we think is going to go on this season. So, yes, today's victim is LakerTom. He'll be dropping it there. Well, I'll be dropping it there. His thoughts on for members only. So, yes, become a member today on YouTube for just $2.99 a month. And then don't forget, as well, we need all the subscribers we can to get us out there on those algorithms, because it is a thing to get us out there. So go ahead and please like your video, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do to help us out. It is sincerely appreciated by all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Darren says, LakerTom, make me proud today. Even Trevor says Bronny is a G Leaguer player best. Yeah, when Trevor Lane says that, that's telling you something. But we're going to go into that. But also as well, of course, the real important stuff, which is the Lakers this preseason. And first up, first man here. Sorry, Tom. He was first. Firsties. It is, of course, our guy from the islands. Indeed, the guy who I envy each and every day because he's over there and I'm over here in 95-degree heat in Las Vegas. It is Michael Hinrich. And of course, it's the middle of October, too. Chief figure. Michael, great to have you here, my friend. I want to ask your thoughts. 3 games into the preseason. Lakers are coming to my town next on Tuesday. Your thoughts on the preseason, just an overall glance before we get into specifics so far this preseason.
Well, so far, I've gotten good vibes from the preseason up to this point. I was, LeBron's going to be LeBron and AD is going to be AD. So I've been more interested in some of the other guys. And I've seen some really good moments from quite a few guys so far. Rui's been playing really well. He's averaging 12 points and 6.5 boards and 43% from 3, and he's playing 22 minutes. So, those are good numbers for 22 minutes. Austin, he hasn't found a shot yet, but he's been doing some other things, especially on the defensive end. He seems to really be trying to own his defense, and I like that. Max has looked good in 2 of the 3 games, I thought. So overall, I like what we saw so far from this team. I think that one of the big differences from this year and the prior year, I think I'm warming up to JJ a little bit. It seems like the team is really, really bought into him. And that's half the battle right there. So we'll see what the wins and losses look like down the road. And that's the ultimate form of buy-in. If you're winning, if you're doing a pretty good job winning, then that buy-in will continue. So yes, overall, so far, I'm happy with what I've seen.
Also here today, good man indeed. He is the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there. Of course, you can find him also, like Michael, at Lakerholics.com. It is LakerTom. Again, 3 games into the preseason. Just call it virtually halfway through the preseason. We've gotten a somewhat of a taste of the Lakers so far. There's been some ups and downs, of course, from what I've seen so far, and obviously a 1-2 record reflects that. But there have been moments when the starting 5 is in there where this team looks competitive to the rest of the Western Conference. Your thoughts so far on what you've seen out of the preseason, Tom?
I think I pretty much where Michael is. I'm elated with JJ. I think he's done a fabulous job. And there's just such a different vibe that the team has right now, that's very positive and constructive. And I do think that the front office is focused on developing continuity, which ties in with hiring JJ. Gives me more confidence that they'll make more intelligent decisions, hopefully in the future. You want them to do that. And I think that the 3 big things that I see happening for us, obviously JJ is the biggest thing, because I think he's changing the entire tone of the Lakers franchise and focus on the future. I also think that continuity is going to be a major factor. We just keep turning over all of the guys that are supposedly to be the major supporters. You add a Reeves, then you add somebody else that can fit in that mold, and you start to build. But we're still looking at a situation where we really only got 3 guys that were sure keepers, and the others were basically we're willing to trade them if we can get the right situation. Primarily because most of the rest of the players are one-way players, and we really need 2-way players. I like what we're doing on offense by focusing on threes, and I love what we're doing on defense by switching 1 to 4. I've always felt that switching everything was a better compatible strategy to use defensively when you were having your centers in drop coverage, because now guys, we aren't seeing guys kill us in the middle like we've usually done, where a ball handler gets somebody on his hip and puts them in jail and gets an easy floater or easy little jump shot. So I think that's improved. I'm disappointed though and I guess I'm happy that we're showing more of the starters than we did last year, because last year it felt like we didn't even make an effort to try to win it in preseason. This year it looks like we're trying to win, but I'm still discouraging that we aren't winning. And we aren't winning even when we're playing our best 5. We're holding our own, but the Bucks and the Suns are good teams. They're teams that are both expected to be teams that are going to, make the top 6 in their conference. And I still believe the Lakers are going to make the top 6 in the conference, and I still think they have a fighter's chance at a championship if LeBron and AD can stay healthy and if some of the other things can happen. I do think they need to make a smart trade, and I'm very worried about them not doing a smart trade. Right now, I think when I look at the center situation, I like that Hayes is improving. His defense looked a little better this year. He blocked a couple of shots. He hardly ever blocked a shot last year, So, and I like that we're playing him along with AD. AD is not shooting the 3 as well as I'd like to see him shoot the 3, but I hope he doesn't.
Tom, he never will. He's a career 28% shooter.
Well, listen, there's a whole bunch of guys who are a career 30% shooters who could go one way or the other. And And part of the problem is when this shot is in your mental facilities, not part of your game, not a shot that the coach wants you to take, that makes it a tough situation, and I understood that completely because my game always as a basketball player was to go inside.
Well, you told me your game was to always shoot, and then, by the way, shoot.
Well,
That's what I was told.
I always want to shoot, but I always like shooting closer to the basket than further out.
Well, and that's what I want to say is because I've been saying this all along because Darvin Ham had this illusion, guys.
But here's what happens when you have the ability to score, when you have such a great ability to score inside, like LeBron does, like AD does, your tendency is that when it comes down to a clutch situation and you need a basket, you know where you want to go. Your first shot is not Steph Curry is going to shoot a three.
But why would you waste opportunities?
Anthony Davis is not,
Well, but respectfully, I ask you, Tom, why would you, and Michael as well, please interject. Why would you waste opportunities? Because I believe it's wasting. I said this last year with Darvin Ham, said the same exact thing, how he wanted AD to shoot more threes. Why do you waste the opportunity for a guy 11 years in the league who has never really been a three-point shooter?
Well, let
me finish. By not giving him more opportunities at the basket where he is much more efficient, if I may say so. I've been saying this for 2 years. I've been right last year, and I'll be right again because he just is not good from the outside, guys.
Can I say one thing about the three-point shot? Everybody's saying, well, yeah, JJ wants to increase the numbers of threes, but he said in an interview, I mean, he made the sarcastic remark that he'd be fine with 50 a game. That was not in the interview. He's saying he wants to bump it up to 35 or 36.
Yeah, in reality, he was
which is reasonable. Yeah. That's a reasonable bump. 40 plus. That's not this team. I mean, you have to also understand we get a lot of 3 points plays because of our inside game. So we were either first or second in free throws last year. That's huge. I mean, the modern game is at the rim, free throws and threes. We were really, really good at 2 of the 3 last year, not really good at the third, but I'm kind of with you. I want, I'm going to give AD a little bit of time to work it out, but at some point, if he's still shooting 28%, he's, I don't want to see him continue to shoot a lot of threes. I mean, it's going to be coming down to, are we going to see him making them at some point? I mean, and the preseason's fine for that. Let him shoot as many as he wants in the preseason. But I don't have a lot of confidence in him becoming any more than, I mean, he could bump it up over 20. He could get to 30, 31%, but that's still not good enough.
He did 33 1 year, Michael, and then that's it. That's the highest he's ever been.
Yeah. So,
except for the 2020 playoffs.
That's just that one moment in time.
The one chance can have a good run.
Let me answer the question, because you're beating around with the obvious things that if he can't make threes, don't shoot them. But you're missing the whole point of why JJ Redick and why the modern game wants to shoot threes. You have to at least shoot enough threes so that you can make a reasonable amount, or you will have a huge deficit in the 3-point shooting differential. And the modern game is based upon a totally different concept than the old school game. The old school game is based upon the idea that if you kill them on the boards, if you kill them in the paint, if you score points in the paint and you dominate in there and you get free throws and so forth, then you're going to open up things for people to shoot from outside. Well, that doesn't happen. And all of a sudden now in the modern game, you have to have threes. You can't be 29th and 30th in 3-point mades and 3-point attempts, because you will lose 10 to 15 points per game in a differential. And you will struggling. Let me finish. You'll always be struggling. The game has changed. It's now you shoot from outside to create spacing so you can attack the rim.
So let's have Jackson Hayes shoot 5 or 10 a game. You have to have guys that are going to make them, Tom.
Because he doesn't have the ability to shoot 30%.
And neither does, AD hasn't proven he does either. I mean, that's the point.
But you can't have, okay, here's the point. You can't have 2 guys on the court who can't shoot threes.
I know we have one guy on the court that can't shoot threes. That's AD. Everybody else can shoot threes.
Right now we have 5 guys on the court who are going to shoot threes, except for Hayes when he's in. He's the only guy in the team that won't shoot threes.
Well, I'm hoping that AD, if I'm hoping that he can all of a sudden become a 3-point shooter. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll get it. But
we're going to end up trading for a center who shoots 30% from 3. You watch.
I'm just like Ed. I'm not trying to get anybody upset here, but respectfully, I agree with you guys, Tom, that they should and they do need to shoot more threes. We understand and we get that, but it's who you have shoot those threes.
It's also the kind of plays you run to shoot those threes, the priority you give on shooting those threes. There's all sorts of factors involved in it. A center who can shoot if you shoot 33% on threes, that's the same as 50% on twos. If you shoot 30% on threes, that's pretty acceptable for certain players. If AD spreading the court out there opens up opportunities for him to drive and opens up more space for LeBron to attack, that's where the modern game is based upon. It's based upon spacing creates the inside game, not pounding the paint creates spacing.
So let me ask you this. Again, I'm just trying to talk here. I'm just trying to respectfully talk on this. So you would want AD to shoot 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. Hold on. 1 for 5 to the 3-point line, because that's basically what you're going to get. Is 1 for 5 from the 3-point line instead of 4. Well, hold on. Let me finish my full statement. You would rather let him shoot 1 for 5 from the 3-point line than 4 of 5. Take those same opportunities down low where he could be 4 for 5. Is
what you're ignoring? No, here's the point. You're creating a scenario that doesn't make sense. What I want to do is I want to have a team that threatens from outside because we are a 3-point shooting team, because that will create the spacing for LeBron James and Anthony Davis to be the best players and to score the most points that they can. You have to have a balanced offense, and we don't have a balanced offense.
Well, we have 4 guys that can make threes. That's plenty.
We have not shown that, Michael. If we could shoot 5 more threes a game, I don't want to shoot 50 threes. But you have to build your team around a team.
And that's what JJ is doing, Tom. The whole point that Joe's making is you got to have the guy shooting the ball has to be a realistic threat to make the shots.
Were you actually, if you want to include, yeah, go ahead, Michael.
When you have 4 guys,
from 3.
Hold on, Tom. Let Michael finish.
When you have 4 guys that can hit the threes, you don't necessarily. How many teams actually have 5 guys on the court that are all good 3-point shooters?
Boston.
I mean,
the champions.
Okay, one team.
They got 2 lineups they can put out there. They don't have a single player on that team that doesn't shoot threes.
Which is why the Knicks went out and got Cat.
Right.
So that they could
see a trend happening yet? Jesus.
Come
on. We've been behind the 8 ball on the 3-point game.
Tom, you're missing the point. We're not arguing about the 3-point shoot. We're arguing about who should be taking them.
Yes, exactly. That's what
we're trying to say. Why don't you give the new coach a chance to see whether he can develop that with Anthony Davis?
Well, hopefully he can. But so far,
you're writing it off after 3 preseason games.
Well,
Tom, we've seen the
preseason games plus several seasons before those preseason games.
He's
and 11 years. We won a championship was when he shot well in the playoffs.
Well, there are other reasons why than just him shooting a little bit above 35% from 3 like he did in the bubble. There's other reasons why the Lakers
shot 37% in the playoffs in the bubble.
Like I said, above 35% from 3 in the bubble. Yes, that's exactly what I said. But you're not going to get that.
33%.
No, I said above 35%.
He shot 37%.
That's above 35%. Yes, I said the words above.
Yeah, above 28%.
Okay. But he's a 28% shooter overall for his career, Tom. He's 11 years in the league. At this point, I want more opportunities for the Lakers from behind the arc. We now have, if you want him
to play center. I know.
No,
I want him to play center. He doesn't want to play center. He's not going to play center. They're going to get another center.
That's correct. According to Shams, yes, I know that. But you want him to be able to be put in the best position to succeed, and it's just not the best position for him to succeed going and taking.
In your opinion,
corners.
In JJ Redick's opinion, it isn't. It is the best.
We've seen this scenario before. Again, now that you're incorporating Max Christie, whether you like him or whether you hate him, whether you think he's going to be a player, whether you're not a player, plus Dalton Connect, you now have guys like Michael's saying, 5 guys that can now shoot at a relatively efficient level based off of what your projections are.
I still support JJ Redick's attempt to have Anthony Davis shoot threes whenever he's open from the 3-point line. I think it's a smart move. It works with the modern game. It works with what AD wants to do. It makes him a better and more dangerous and versatile player. It optimizes his upside, and it's going to happen. Now, maybe it'll fail. Maybe it'll succeed. But after 3 preseason games, to hear you guys sit here and say that he shouldn't take any threes, that JJ Redick is wrong, give him a break and let us see how it pans out over the season.
Didn't I say that? I believe I said that.
It's Tom, Michael. No worries. Again, relax, Tom. We're just trying to have a conversation.
Michael, it's you. It's you, Gerald. You constantly, you're almost like the guy who never wanted to vote for AD for Defensive Player of the Year.
Actually, I voted for him last year as my Defensive Player of the Year, but that's neither here nor there. But again, I'm just trying to have a respectful conversation. I can feel differently than you do. I think it's a more efficient game if the Lakers go ahead and have other individuals shoot the threes. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. It proved out last year. It's proved out for over a course of an 11-year career for AD. It is more efficient for him to shoot.
Why do you think the coaches? How come JJ Redick doesn't agree with you?
Because again, he's just following the trend and having anyone shoot threes because he wants more threes because he's looking at the straight analytics. But I would again, guys
who shoot threes get better at it usually. Well, if you don't shoot threes, you never get better. You find every single player who was a center on the Lakers, what did they do off season, do you think? They shot threes.
I think that JJ is going to analyze this. He's going to watch, he's going to see. And if it comes to a point where AD is knocking him down, great. If it comes to a point where he
goes over 30,
same old.
He'd probably be afraid to shoot him.
So I mean,
he's attempted 1,145 threes in his career, Tom, and he's 29. I said 28, but 29.7%.
It's almost 30%, Gerald. The difference between a 30% and a 33% 3-point shooter. No, he's not a guy, if he's going to be shooting 30%, that you're going to take 10 threes a game. But there probably are 2 or 3 spots in the game where he's got an open 3 or an open corner 3, and he probably should take that.
Well, and I have no problem. I have no problem with him taking an occasional 3 if it's wide open. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
it's just volume. What's his volume?
Well, the volume guys are going to be LeBron and D'Lo. Those are the guys you want shooting 10 threes a game.
Yeah. So anyway,
go ahead, Michael. Other parts of the Lakers that have actually, again, Max Christie is obviously someone that a lot of people are keeping an eye on. Mixed results for me so far, but the other day when he started the game, really good. But you had some other thoughts. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to get back to Tom on his opening statement where he said he was disappointed with the losses. But let's face it, we lost the Suns game. The third string lost the Suns game.
Right.
Our starters beat the Suns, and our starters were right there with the Bucks. So I think,
especially considering that their 2 stars really played extremely well, man.
What's his name? The power forward / center.
Yeah, 5 for 5. I'd love to trade for him.
He's good, but he's generally not quite that good.
No,
Yeah. I mean, he would be all NBA if he was that good. So he had a great game.
No, we played them well in the first half.
That's what I'm saying. Our starting five so far, and we've had a couple of really tough opponents.
Those starting five, everybody doesn't realize that everybody says that they were so poor defensively last year, and they had 110 rating.
Down the stretch, yeah.
Down the stretch. No, for the whole year, the five that our five starters, their whole rating as a 5-man lineup for the year was 110.
A lot of that
would be second in the league if the rest of the whole team could play that.
Yeah, a lot of that was because Austin stepped up his game in the second half defensively. Rui did the same. They both started playing, and Rui's playing some pretty good defense in the preseason as well.
Rui's looked what really. The last game he looked really impressive. It was,
he plays well alongside LeBron and AD. He really does.
No, and I like Connect. I like Connect a lot.
Connect is a guy that once he hasn't quite found his 3-point shot.
Yeah,
that'll come. But what I've been impressed with is his rebounding. He has a knack for rebounds.
When they tell him to come from the corner and crash the boards, he knows.
Well, the thing about it is rebounding. As you probably know, Tom, you played the game. A lot of rebounding is developing and being able to anticipate where that ball's going to go. He seems to know where the ball's going to go, and that is some things guys just never learn how to do, and some guys have it instinctively. He seems to know where that ball's going to bounce once the shot's off. And I think that you just see him anticipating. I've been watching him on the boards. You just see him going to a spot and there comes the ball, and so that's, while, he's been touted as this 3-point marksman, which, like I said, I think he'll come. He's too good of a shooter not for it to come.
I do too.
But the rebounding is what really has stuck out to me.
He plays a little bigger than you think he is, and his defense.
Well, he's big though. He's not that small, I mean, and he's stocky. He's not like a skinny guy,
But you guys have addressed it and addressed something I want to speak to you on. And again, as I said in the beginning, the starting five is what it is. Outside of Austin Reeves shooting, again, that's a little bit concerning. Outside of that, they're a very competitive starting five. We've seen over the course of the 3 preseason games where it falters is the fact that our depth is a serious problem. And as for a team that had one of the worst benches last year statistically in the league, is it a bigger concern as it is for me as far as the depth? Because you do need to play your players, your role players, even the guys that we don't want on the team, or many of us don't want on the team, like Cam Reddish and some others. They will get plenty of burn because of the fact you have injuries, resting, fatigue, whatever. You're going to have that. You're going to need your roster over the course of the next 82 games. And with that, some of the things I'm seeing in the preseason, some of the things that caused us concern going into training camp, and that is the fact that there is a serious problem with depth on this team, Michael and Tom.
Well, for me, first of all, I've liked what I've seen from Gabe Vincent. They're easing him in really slowly. He's kind of, it looks as though he's on a minute restriction. He's been playing 10 to 12 minutes a game. But when he's been in there, even last training camp, you could probably tell he was having a nagging injury, and then they sat him after 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. This year, he looks like that Miami point guard. He's been hitting his threes. He's been playing really tough defense. So, I mean, he's going to play more than 10 minutes a game. He's going to be up in the 20, 22, 23, 25 point minutes a game. So
I look at him and Vando as sure players in the rotation.
Yeah, Vando's the other one that I think I haven't gotten any recent updates, but everybody seems to think he will be close to being ready.
If he can play like the 5 games that he was healthy and played last year, it'd be great.
Yeah, so I think right now, to address your concerns, Gerald, I think we're 7 deep right now. That 8, 9, and maybe 10th but I'm not sold on Jackson Hayes.
I'm not
Max
sold on
has-
Jackson Hayes either, but I think he's improved.
Yeah,
But he's a
Max,
third string. He should be our
Max-
third string center.
yeah, Max is looked good in 2 of the 3
He
games.
shot well, but
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Defensively, it's an issue because you put him in the wrong matchup, he gets exploited like he did against Dillingham in Minnesota. He looked abused, but then again, he has someone that's a larger size or comparative size to him. Max looks a lot better. So he needs the right matchup defensively. Offensively, again, like Dalton, they had that great first game, both of them. And Max hit well in that first half in the last game, but they did struggle in that second game. So you're going to get ups and downs from both of them.
Well, you
young
look at
players.
Max. Look at Max. Max did a good job on Dame.
Yep,
He did a very good job on Dame.
You're right, Michael. It's matchup tricky though.
Here's the kind of guys that kill us, and this is where I'm hoping Gabe Vincent comes in. It's not the guards like Dame. It's not, it's guys like Curry. It's guys that perpetual motion that's cat quick like Fox. Those are the
Dillingham.
guys.
Dillingham showed that in the Minnesota game.
Dillingham was that. Yeah, Dillingham was that kind of guy. Those are the guys that really hurt us. I mean, I'm not that concerned with a guy that that's a good scorer, but he's just basically a shooter. The guys that take you off the dribble, those have been our biggest issues over the last year, and I'm hoping that's where Gabe comes in. And
well, also too, the biggest thing for these guys off of the dribble is switching 1 to 4. I mean, AD can handle. You want to put AD in a pick and roll, he can handle. He can go out there, he can trap, he can do lots of stuff. But the other guys, if you've got a guy 1 through 4 setting a pick on you, just switch the damn thing. Anybody who's played the game understands how much easier it is to keep in front of your guy and to protect against 3-point shots if you can just switch. Now, if you've got a great center, so when they run a pick and roll and the guy's going to roll and he's got an advantage, you got a center like AD, you can handle that. You can also you watch the games. We're not getting killed with those floaters and those mid-range jumpers that we used to get killed with. We're getting killed in transition, because we're crashing the boards like crazy. Because everybody now all of a sudden values offensive rebounds so much, and that's one of those give and go type of things that you can lose. But
I think they'll find a balance.
Guys, let's talk about after the 7 guys. Are there, if we're going to really run a 9-man rotation, and let's say we're looking ahead way to the playoffs at a 9-man rotation, who do we need for an 8th and 9th guy? Because it may not be Max to be the guard, and in the center, it may not be. I'm hoping that maybe Koloko can be that guy on the other side, and I don't know what to do about a defensive guard.
One thing about that 9-man rotation, I am not for that. That's okay in the playoffs. You want to get
long regular season for LeBron and AD.
You want to get guys rest. You want to be 10 deep.
Did you notice that how many minutes that LeBron and AD only played, like 18 minutes in that first half, in that half against the Suns?
Yeah.
That'd be nice to see them both in the mid 30s in minutes per game,
or even low 30s if possible.
Well, that's what they average, is around 34 to 35 minutes a game, Tom, on
I would like to
regular
see,
season.
But over the course of a regular season, I think, gosh, you got to play guys. If you have guys that can contribute.
Yeah, but a 9-man rotation, I think they'd end up with more minutes than that.
Yes. I think during a long season, I think
10 or 11-man rotation if we had good enough 10 or 11th man.
Yeah, I think
right now we need the 8th and 9th.
Right now we don't. I mean, I am not really concerned with
Connect will be one of them. I think Connect will be.
I think he can do it. It'll be his defense. It's going to be Kenny, and he doesn't have to be a great defender. He just has to be able to be a decent team defender. He has to be a decent team defender. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I look back on some of the old Lakers, and I remember Derek Fisher took a lot of heat. Everybody saying, "Oh, people are blowing," but Derek Fisher was a great team defender, and if you watched him defend, guys would get by him right into help. He would direct them right into help. Yeah, they could get by him, but he'd direct them right into help. So it's like
maybe one of the details we need this year, that.
Guys are going to get by you.
Team defense has to be on a string like that, though, where everything is interrelated.
Yeah, it's where they get by you, because guys are going to get by you. It's where they get by you too that counts.
Right.
I did want to go ahead and mention first, great questions so far in the chat. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Lakerholics Spotlight. Please, if you like the banter between the guys, even the way Tom rips at me, go ahead. He rips at Jamie the same way each and every day at Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out all the great articles and comments that are there and be part of the community at Lakerholics.com. There's some great comments I'm going to go ahead and touch on. First off, I think I already know the answer to this. Parade on Figueroa asks if Tom still thinks JJ is the next Pat Riley. So
yeah, I do. I think
I already knew the answer.
A lot of people are starting to think that same thing.
But let's go into that. I will touch on Olivari and number 9 here in a little bit. I know he who shall not be named, but I'll name him anyways later on in the show. Well, we will touch on those issues, guys. But JJ Redick so far, again, more motion offense. I've seen a lot more motion, less isolation, pick and roll, things I've liked to see, things I've talked about so much on this show in recent years about how that ball needs to move and needs to move constantly in the offensive sets. They need to utilize the pick and rolls. These are things I am seeing on the offensive end. So defensively, I have some issues with JJ so far, but offensively, I cannot argue with that the starting lineup is in, guys. They've been very efficient and they've been very productive. And that's all you can ask out of a starting 5 right now, guys.
And they're using AD as a playmaker now too.
Yeah,
I mean he's getting three plus 4 assists in limited minutes. And he's showing off his passing chops. Some of those passes he's made were just sensational passes. So yeah, I mean that's one of the things I've noticed the most about this offense is they're running a lot through him now, which I think I've wanted just for a long time as well, because the biggest problem we've had with up until now is we ran the LeBron offense, give LeBron the ball and get out of the way, and
that's the same thing we did with AD, give him the ball on the wing and get out of the way.
So I'm glad to see with you, Gerald. I'm glad to see the motion, and that's been very, very promising.
We'll see though, Michael, how long it lasts. I'm hopeful it will stay to it. Tom,
I think it'll even get better, Gerald, because
in January, February, they won't go back. LeBron and AD won't revert back to their former self.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, I hope not.
The whole idea, obviously, and the Warriors were the perfect example of that, is that the way you really create synergy is by having everybody involved so that your offense is multifaceted and it's not able to focus as much on one person. And the Warriors were able to do that with a shooter like Steph Curry. In the same way the Lakers will try to do that with LeBron. LeBron off the ball, people think that that's a sacrifice. In many ways it isn't, because if you give the ball to LeBron on the move, cutting to the basket or posting somebody up down low, he's going to be very difficult to stop. So having everybody involved, the thing I love about what they're doing, especially when you get Reeves in there and D'Lo in there, you got 4 or 5 there. They have a chance with right now. They have 4 guys that can shoot threes, 4 guys who can make dimes, 4 guys who can attack the basket. If they can get that up to 5 guys, if they can find a center who can stretch the floor, or even just protect the rim when AD goes out, I think that's a major help to the bench. I mean, that 9-man rotation or 10-man rotation, whatever it is, it has to have a shot blocking center. I mean, it has to. We cannot have Hayes be the guy who's protecting the rim when AD goes to the bench. That won't work. And we need height and size to put with AD on the floor. So to me, Koloko has to either turn into be that guy, or we have to trade for that guy.
Michael?
Well, I have problems with bringing in a center, and I have problems with AD at the 4, because if you're going to start AD at the 4 with another center, you're going to have LeBron defending wings, and I don't like that idea of LeBron at 40 years old defending the wing.
But it's switch everything 1 to 4.
Yeah, but you still have to. Right now at the 4, he sits back and he diagnoses what's going on, and that's where you see all the steals, all the jumping, the pass lanes, and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to get that from him if he's out on the wing. Now you talk about playing size with AD. That could be Christian Wood if he finds his shot again. The guy's a good rebounder, and he was a reasonably
he had great numbers playing with AD.
He was reasonably good defensively playing with AD, and he can play the 4. I think it's more important to pair a 4 with AD than it is another center.
It matters whether you pair him with another center or with a stretch player. I think that he can play. I think having 2 bigs is really the answer. Yeah. Even if you could pair him with somebody who fit the Dwight Howard mold, and that would be successful. And you can pair him with somebody who fit the.
I also agree that though there has to be a better option at the second team level at center. Yeah.
Well, we need a defensive option there more than an offensive option.
I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think they're going to do anything about it until they see what they have with Koloko.
So you don't think a lot of this news about that Shams has made about the Lakers possibly even making a trade before the start?
No, I don't believe it. I don't think so.
I think they want to find out what Koloko can do first.
That's
he could
exactly
be the backup center.
He could do it. I mean, they'd have to clear eventually. They get him for 50 games, so they'd have to eventually
or change his contract at some point once they get
find a roster spot for him. But they have 50 games to evaluate him.
What about Oliveri? You think Oliveri will survive, guys?
Well, that's something I wanted to go ahead and address. Okay, Oliveri. In that game, I think that game is a dichotomy of what we have seen so far with the last subject we'll approach number 9, but that's in a minute.
Right.
So Oliveri was part of that 5 in the 4th quarter that led a very strong comeback. Kid played with a lot of heart. Whatever you want to say about the kid as far as his talent, whatever, he played like his life depended on it. You saw it in every play on both ends of the floor. He played with extreme energy. He played with the style and a panache that I think a lot of people were really supportive. You saw how the bench was, and he helped spearhead a comeback for the Lakers in Milwaukee. Michael, Tom, we've seen this situation before where that one kid finally getting that chance, undrafted kid or an Exhibit 9 or Exhibit 10 kid, finally gets that chance, shows a little bit of promise, but ultimately may not be in the numbers game for the Lakers. So I ask you, as you know, he's now the flavor of the day for the Lakers nation that's out there, because that's all I'm hearing now is like next. I've even seen some memes comparing him to Jordan and all that, because it's a joke and whatnot. I get it, but Michael Oliveri, seriously, what are his chances you feel on actually making a team? It is based off of one performance. But what do you feel are his chances on actually making?
If he continues, I was listening to JJ talk after the game, and he was talking about he won every single race or almost every race. He was the best conditioned athlete on the team, and he won most of the shooting. And he won most of the shooting contests for them as well. Mm-hmm. So if he keep. The good news is that if he goes to the G League, they have a certain amount of protection on him. Nobody can come in and snatch him right away. I don't know what the debt.
But
the
if he goes to
deadline
the
is.
G League, if it's basically for G League rights, those Exhibit and Exhibit 10, Exhibit 9 and 10s are for G League rights. He'll go to South Bay. But if a NBA
Big team
team
could take him.
can
But
take
I think there's a period of time where they can't. I think
there
they're
is a period of
protected
time
for.
that they can't, but it's not like a two-way. A two-way,
No,
you're
no,
actually
I
on the
understand.
roster.
Let me
for 40 yeah,
let me finish my thought.
of course.
If Koloko turns out to be, what
Backup center we need.
need, I wouldn't be surprised if they let what's the other guy?
There's Reddish.
The center.
Jackson Hayes.
No,
Colin Castleton.
Castleton. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go and then give Oliveri his two-way slot.
Because they like, do you like Armel Traore? He's one of the other two ways.
He's intriguing. He's intriguing to me.
I like him too.
He's intriguing
to me. That was a great block he had at the end of that game.
Yeah, I think that Castleton has shown us what he can be, and I don't think that's enough.
Yeah.
So if Koloko turns out to be that next guy,
he is the other two-way.
Yeah,
he'll replace him.
I could see them letting Castleton go and maybe giving Oliveri his two-way slot. I don't see Oliveri making it the big squad, but I do see him possibly ending up with a two-way.
So it would be a smart move because.
Well, we can't move Castleton yet because we don't know when.
We don't have any update on Koloko. Right. The league has not cleared Koloko to play as of yet because of his blood clotting issues.
Yeah, but they pretty much.
But then there's the ramping up period though. Then Tom, he's not going to just come up to the bigs. He hasn't played in over a year.
Well, he's been playing. I've seen quite a few shots that he's been playing 5-on-5.
Yeah, but he hasn't had any game stuff for a while. So. I think they'll take their time with him.
So with that, always comes the most entertaining part of the week here, the part that Joe Soro hates the most, but will still rant on for 30 minutes anyways, and that is number 9, Bronny James. I know that he has been deemed the individual he who shall not be named, but I will name him anyways. And again, he's despite a lot of people's misgivings, despite even my own misgivings, he is still the center of the media world for the Los Angeles Lakers. In fact, there are articles, even when he scores 0 points, there are articles. How much did Bronny score today? Check this out. Like USA Today. USA Today, whatever you think about, them as a publication, they are still a worldwide, well-known publication, yet they run articles on how Bronny James does every day. ESPN talks about Bronny James on an everyday basis. He's still at the center of pretty much everything going on within the media scope. And while it's a warm and fuzzy thing, him playing 2 minutes in the first game with his dad and all that, to get that out of the way, there's a reality setting in for everybody else out there. The defenders are still out there for Bronny, and I still can't understand why. Guys, I'm going to be honest, as I have been all week, as I have been all summer, as I have been all, just ever since he was drafted, even before he was drafted, I said this. He is not an NBA player at this time, and I don't believe he will ever be a competent NBA player based off of what I saw. LakerTom, I'll bring it over to you. This has been a tragic mistake for the Lakers because, again, you're taking up a roster spot for this individual where they're like an Olivari. Everybody now is just like, Olivari. Well, there may be a numbers game for him simply because of what's gone on with Bronny James, Tom.
Well, it wasn't missed by many people that who he replaced, who Quincy replaced was Bronny when he went into the game.
Yeah, it wasn't an accident. But that's what we've been seeing all along, Tom.
Yeah.
This preseason, every time he's in there, outside the time when he was in with his dad, the team has gotten significantly worse on the scoreboard. He goes out.
Well, where we are is where we are. I feel bad for Bronny. He's obviously feeling a lot of pressure, and that pressure is probably making it even more difficult for him to be successful in his little stint. The good thing is that he's got a contract, so he'll be fine in that standpoint. I think that it's smart for them to get the two of them playing together out of the way in the first game. I think that's what the plan is. And then basically Bronny's going to spend the rest of the year in the G League. He definitely has a long way to go. And I remember that first year after I had my double cardiac arrests, and I was a guy who basically hiked 5 to 10 miles every day. And all of a sudden it was really a struggle to do stuff. So when you combine all of those things and so forth, I still believe that Bronny will end up becoming an NBA player, and he'll work out his contract, and he'll probably have a career. He's not going to be a star probably, but I think that he'll finally be an accomplished player at some point in time. But it's going to take him, he's one of those guys that's 2 years away from 2 years away. He probably shouldn't have got the contract he got, and the Lakers basically are doing this for LeBron, and I just hope it works out okay for the father and son. All of my trepidation at the beginning was thinking that this was just putting tremendous amount of pressure on a young man that I thought, even though he's shown that he can handle this kind of pressure, it's becoming obvious that he can't.
It's not to denigrate him at all as far as an individual. And obviously it's very courageous, like you said, Tom, coming back for the heart ailment and all that. But, the Lakers are all about winning, or should be all about winning. This Lakers fan base is all about championships. Joe Soro, whether you love him or hate him, at least you say he wants this team to win. And you put the best players on the team that you can get to have them win.
But also we're the franchise that took care of Kobe Bryant. We're the franchise that took care of LeBron James. And whether we all agree or don't agree with that franchise position, it's pretty obvious that that's something that Dr. Jerry Buss and his daughter both feel very strongly about. And this was done for LeBron.
I think that Bronny, the worst thing that could have happened to him was getting drafted by the Lakers. I mean, there was
there was nothing. God, but they structured it so that
there was other teams that
would have been better for him to be on another team, man.
He was going to go undrafted, Michael. If you're picked at 55, he was going to go undrafted. Nobody was.
I don't know about that.
They were baiting the Lakers into it. They were baiting the Lakers into it, Michael.
Well, here's the problem I had. If we didn't already have two projects on our roster, it would have been okay. But that gives us.
Maybe we're going to get rid of those two projects in the first trade we get a chance.
It gives us three projects on a team that's wanting to win a championship, and that was
and the roster spot on a team that can't make a trade because of all of the player options that were exercised.
Yeah, that
took up a roster spot.
That was unexpected but that's the biggest thing is that
if Giannis or Luka decide to come to the Lakers, this was a great move. Otherwise, I wish to hell that we hadn't drafted him.
I'm not a fan.
And probably for his dad.
He might have some defensive upside, but offensively, he just has not shown anything resembling an NBA game.
Well, it's been embarrassing, Michael. It's been embarrassing. Let's just put it out there. It's been embarrassing what I've seen so far.
Well, he's gone into a shell where he can't make a basket. Has he scored yet?
Yeah, he scored a few times,
but he was not even a good shooter. But remember, at USC, he wasn't even a good shooter to begin with. So you take that.
But he had some baskets in some of the other games and so forth. It's just that it's obvious that the pressure is just killing the kid, man.
Well, I watched him live here in Summer League on the day that he went 0 for 8 from behind the arc, and it became laughter. The laughter, people laughing out loud, people yelling in the back of the arena, yelling at him, man, get this kid off the court. yelling, they're laughing, they're just like groaning. It is, like you said, it could be traumatic for this kid. Yeah, he's laughing all the way to the bank, and so are the Lakers, because they, for the $1.1 million that he's making this year, they're going to tenfold make that in jersey sales alone, because there's so many Bronny fans still out there that are blindly seeing what they want to see, guys. I get it. Financially, it's a win for the Lakers, but for a team that, if you say you want to go ahead and continue to win, I think to real Lakers fans, it sends the absolute wrong message.
Yeah, honestly, they should have sold their second round pick this year, left an open roster spot, because they had to be anticipating these guys coming.
They saw what kind of years they had, and they knew what was available for them on the market.
Yeah. They should have just sold that pick so they'd have a 14th roster spot, so they could have done, picked up one of these steals that some of these other teams got,
Right. But LeBron wanted Bronny on the team.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean,
but also when he plays, a kid like Maxwell Lewis, who Darren wants to put in there, a guy whose very future is very tenuous right now. He did not progress in his second summer league like he should have. He looked very bad at times. It was very disappointing to see.
It's like,
he did,
although you have to look at it like one of Giannis's brothers, man.
But let me finish with Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell Lewis did play well in Milwaukee, giving people a spark of hope. He is someone, though, guys, like Max Christie, you spent money to move up into the draft. So the Lakers have spent, before they even signed him to a contract, they spent money just to get him. And now it's to the point where he is so far back in the doghouse, guys, that plus seeing Bronny play ahead of him, it's very disconcerting if you were Maxwell Lewis right now.
Yeah.
Maxwell Lewis, I think the thing about Maxwell Lewis is that he looks like he should be really good. I mean, he has the athleticism, he has the length, and he was a really good college shooter. But here's the deal. Some guys don't have the mental wherewithal to be good pros. They just fold. I mean, those guys, remember our buddy Sasha, who Phil called the best practice shooter of all time, but you put him in the game and he was no longer that great shooter in the game because he didn't have, mentally there was something going on, and probably with Bronny right now, mentally something going on, because he's not a good shooter, but he's not that bad.
No.
So, I mean, he's just been, ridiculously bad when he should be just poor. So there's a lot of mental strain going on there. So Maxwell Lewis is a guy that I had a lot higher hopes for, because I'd seen some, I always check out some video on any of the guys that we pick.
R. Stone Hansen said the same thing that you did originally when he was drafted. He had some high hopes for him as well.
Yeah. He looked like he had the same upside as what they did. The same thing with Max Christie. They moved up in the draft and bought a pick for him. He's appeared to me like he had the same kind of upside that Max did. Well, Max is progressing. He hasn't. So,
and we'll see if he can, because again, he's even playing in the rotation right now in Summer League behind Bronny, which, again, if you're watching that, has got to be depressing.
Well, the good news is that he only has a $250,000 guarantee for next year. So if they want to get rid of him, they'll be able to get rid of him cheap. So
the best two players, the best two prospects that we have left are basically prospects that fell to us in weird situations. Dalton Connect and Christian Coloco. Those are two guys. Those are the best two prospects we've got. And they were just weird circumstances that ended up with them. Wasn't really any super coaching, super judgment on picking guys. It was just managed to have a lucky break on both guys.
Hood Chipino's another one. Hood Chipino was he was being projected as a 10th to 14th.
Yeah, but look at who we turned down right next to him, man. I mean,
well,
God.
And you could tell, well, Michael, I'll say this. When we only start talking about him 1 hour into the conversation, that tells you how unimpressive he has been so far.
He made 26 threes in a row in the corner.
Yeah.
But he's so not confident on that court in his three. He moves up and shoots the mid-range. You've seen it every single time. He takes the step up when he gets the opportunity, which is smart for him, because if he knows he has no confidence in it, don't do it. But defensively, he's been a train wreck. I'm going to say that
entire draft. We just traded both guys in that draft.
He's a little bit of a playmaker, but defensively, he's been a train wreck, and it's been very disappointing from there. But that leads me into my last question. You remember the salary cap aside, because you know how close we are to that second apron, guys. To keep Quincy, and thank you again, Darren, for the super chat. To keep Quincy Olivari. Again, nobody was talking Olivari at the beginning of the week, but now certainly we are. That's for sure. To keep Quincy, who should we cut?
I think Michael solved it already.
Michael, go ahead with you, my friend.
Well, I think Castleton. And give Quincy this a two-way that protects him for the year, and then we can sign him. We'll have roster spots next year. If he continues to perform the way he has, it's really tricky. See, if we can't really cut anybody because we cut somebody that their salary still goes against the salary cap, and we bring in another player into that slot.
Unless it's the two-way or
we got to trade. You got to trade somebody.
We got to be able to trade somebody and not bring anybody back.
Yeah,
and even those avenues has been tough. I mean,
it cost a couple of seconds.
Denver they wanted to move Reggie Jackson to get under, right?
Yep.
Took them 3 second rounders to move Reggie Jackson.
Convenient that we have 2 second rounders in next year's draft.
The thing about it is that, and that's been another one of the problems that may, as the season progresses, may ease a little bit. But the few teams that aren't going in, that already recognize they don't have a chance, are kind of holding the teams that want to improve ransom. I mean, what was it? Who got 5 first-round draft picks in a trade? Bridges, yes. 5 first-rounders for him. I mean, it's just the teams that are have said, okay, we're not going to make the play-in. We're not going anywhere. Let's just get as much as we can. And that's one of the reasons I believe why we weren't able to move any of our guys.
That and the fact, since we're so close to the second tax apron, when we do a trade, we can still do multiple players. We cannot do it dollar. We have to do it dollar for dollar or under. We cannot go $1 over. If player on the Sixers was $1 more expensive than the player on the Lakers, we couldn't do the trade to get people.
Well, we've got $45,000 to play with.
Oh wow! Yeah. Tom, Darren, answer Darren's question for me if you can. If you to keep.
Well, I think what's really going to determine it is I think that the one thing that Quincy did is he's going to get some more shots. And who do we play in the next 3 games?
We're going to see a lot more of him.
The Warriors twice and the Suns.
Yeah, we're going to see him a lot more.
You're going to see a lot of him, and we're going to see whether his defense will hold up, whether his shooting holds up. And
that's been impressive, too. I mean, it's full court pressure.
Yep.
The only other guy we have on the team that can really do that is Gabe.
Yep.
So that's valuable.
And here's the thing. There is a need for a third point guard because we know that probably JHS is going to get traded. That's going to happen, man. So,
well, we don't know that, but yeah,
we know if a trade happens, he will be in it. He's the first piece that gets added to every single trade.
He's a very limited player,
right. And basically, if you watch that 11 minutes, Quincy was a point guard. He took care of the ball coming down. He made a nice dribble drive on
he's a combo guard. He's a combo guard. He's not a really true point guard, but he can serve for a third point guard, in our roster.
And his size is a point guard size. He's 6'3", you know.
Yeah.
He's exactly Bronny's size, you know. It's so
No,
frustrating.
Bronny's 6'1".
Maybe,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
So,
Again,
so I do think, again, we need a couple of breaks. We need a couple of breaks like Koloko and like, like Quincy. That could really help us out, you know. We need it, he's exactly the kind of guy. He shot 38. He's a 39% career 3-point shooter, 5 years in college. Yeah. So he's a little older. He's a little more mature. And
well, like I said before, I mean, he's kind of like a Austin Reeves kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I said before, if we can protect him for a while in the G League. I forgot what the cutoff date is. There's some point where it's fair game for everybody, but I know that they have some protection the first part of the season. Keep him.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think he's going to be. I think that he's going to be on the roster.
Well,
one way or another.
I mean, we can't until Koloko is ready to play. We can't let Castleton go. We need another big in reserve. So it's going to take before we would to leave. Now it's the French guy is the other guy. He's looked pretty smooth. He's looked better to me than Castleton has looked. I mean, Castleton has some redeeming character. I mean, he's a very good passing big. He does some nice things, but I just never thought he's not strong. The guy gets moved around, and for as big as he is, you would think you
either got to be a bouncer, you either got to be super leaper or got some
really strong,
And you just hope that some way we could channel getting his brother, who is one of the top prospects in next year's draft, outdoor team. I know that it won't happen, but yeah, because his brother is top 10 prospect.
When you look at all of the way that Giannis's brothers have made rosters on the NBA, Bronny's not the end of the world. My biggest concern about it is
we signed one of the brothers for a year because that was the free agent year that Giannis was coming up on. We decided, okay, we're going to sign his brother and see if his brother can get him to come to the Lakers.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well. Yes. I know that's what I've been getting on this show all week as well. What about the net? That's the argument with Bronny. What about Thanasis? Well, Thanasis was 6'8", so right there he had a unique advantage over.
May have been a unique advantage, but he didn't contribute anything really.
No, he didn't contribute at all. And I don't even think he's an NBA player, but I think he's closer to an NBA player than what we've seen from Bronny so far. I feel bad for the kid in a way. I've been hard on him.
It is tough. If you're a 6'2" guard in the NBA, you better just to survive, you have to really be special. Yeah. And Bronny's going to have to. Oh, yeah. Bronny's chance of being special, basically,
a guy like Avery Bradley who could knock down the shot, he could get to the rim, but he was a bulldog on defense. Even though he was 6'1", the guy was incredibly gifted defender. That would be Bronny's farthest upside. If you can
but this is what he wanted. I can't feel too bad because this is what he wanted. This is what he and Clutch wanted. They wanted him to be drafted in the second round. They were threatening all the other teams that if he doesn't get drafted, he was going to do something else, whatever. This is what he wanted. This is exactly the scenario he wanted. So, okay, we gave you, Bronny, exactly everything you wanted.
Sometimes we don't really want.
The only silver lining coming up is once they start the G League practices, he's going to be down in G League. He's going to be playing in the practice facility.
Well, that is moment with his dad on TV
in front of 1,000 people,
right?
And he's
going to be. Then he has to just go down and go to work.
And he just has to go down and go to work. He's not going to have people watching his every move anymore.
Well, he'll have to be on the bench, though, Michael, more often than you guys think because of the fact that the two-way players can only be on the bench for so many games. So since he
why
has
not
a
expect him to be on the bench for many games?
well, he still
game.
remember he's going to be on the bench, not play. He's going to be on the bench for quite a few. Hold on, because he has a guaranteed contract, so you could see him just sitting on the bench, whatnot. He'll be there.
Is there a limit on how much G League we can send him to?
40. No, he's good because he's on a contract. He's on a full-fledged contract.
You can send somebody down to the G League as much as you want.
It's the two-way players.
We win a lot of games. If we win a lot of games, Bronny will get a lot of garbage.
He's going to be on the bench a few games early in the season until the G League kicks in.
Right.
And then once G League kicks in, we won't see Bronny again unless half the roster gets hurt.
Patterned it like JHS and Maxwell Lewis last year, where they were on the bench quite a few games. They didn't play, but they were on the bench quite a few games because they had guaranteed contracts, but they played.
But if the G League was playing the same night, then obviously they went to the other game.
Yeah, but that's I know, but it's always going to create that speculation. But yes, that's what's going to probably happen simply because he has a guaranteed contract. But he'll play 15, 20, 25 games in the G League and get a better evaluation on him.
Well, for the first 10 games or so, you're going to see Castleton on the bench until Coloco comes back, because we can't go into the season with just Jackson Hayes, because I mean he got better as the year goes by, but he used to be a walking foul. So so you got to have another. So we're going to see Castleton. He's going to be that 13th guy. So I don't see
unless we make a trade before the center for a center.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. There's almost zero chance of that.
Well, the only thing that strikes me is that I still think that there's a chance that we could end up making a trade with the Jazz involving taking away the protection on that 27 pick.
Well, I think the Jazz are going to. They're going to.
It's got to be a low volume, a low dollar.
I think the Jazz may move him at some point, possibly, but it's not going to be right away. I mean,
he's salivating at somebody wanting to take a chance on him. But those two draft picks of the Lakers are the 29 and 31.
But if we just give him the 29 and then give him the other side, take off the protection,
he won't bite on it.
I would do it. I think the Lakers have offered that, and I think if they offered that, they could get him. And I think that's a possible move.
Danny wants to rip the Lakers blind. He wants the two draft choices.
And then there's
he also loves the idea of the 27 pick.
Think about this too. Any quality center that comes up really comes on the market, we're going to have to compete with New Orleans. They're going to be starting Herb Jones, a 6'7", 203-pound wing at center,
or Daniel Tice or Zion.
No, they're naming.
They already said they were going to start
as their starting center, and it's they're going to get. I mean, AD's got to be salivating over that. Having
we already had it. We always have had an advantage over them. And
I mean, 203-pound, 6'7" wing, man. Now,
New Orleans has plenty of behind OKC. I think they have the most draft choices that they can utilize in trades.
So that's my point with it. If anybody of any stature at all comes free, you look for New Orleans to be first in line, because
I agree with you there.
They are. Nobody's willing to pay the 2 draft picks
so far.
And that might go down.
The Lakers haven't even offered 1 draft pick.
That's the same thing with Jamari Grant. They want 2 draft picks for him.
Right.
And they're in a situation where they should be paying somebody to take his contract.
Well, I don't know.
Joe agrees with you on that.
All these contracts that are happening are going to make that contract. All of these contracts are going to become much more tenable as we move forward every year.
So they're holding, like I said, they're holding out. They have no reason not to hold out. So I mean, that's right now. That's why I say I don't see much of a chance of any kind of decent center. I mean, I could see us maybe making a trade for like a Nick Richards or something like that from the Hornets.
From the Hornets, he's
an okay guy. He's an okay guy, but I don't see anybody beyond his skill level becoming available.
I'd like to see the Lakers go after Kelly Olynyk. Olynyk would be a terrific fit right next to AD.
Yeah, but not at his
price. AD would still be playing center in that particular situation, but that would be a great twosome.
Capella has been talked about, but he is in the final year of his contract, and Atlanta may want that $20 million coming off the books. Right. Portland, they've talked about Robert Williams. They've talked about
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton.
Williams has such great defensive potential if he could.
But you always worry with Robert, with Time Lord. You know, obviously DeAndre Ayton, his motor, and just the fact he's DeAndre Ayton has always come into question. But, if they really want to speed up the Donovan Clingan thing, they're probably going to have to move Ayton at some point. I'm just throwing out names out there, guys. I'm not speculating on it, but yeah, those are some of the names that have been talked about. Obviously Kessler as well. Those are the names that are going to continue to be talked about as far as for the Lakers or the Hornets or anybody needing a big man. Then in December, Valanciunas, who signed that contract specifically for the fact that he gets his money, but he knows he's not going to last in Washington. He's probably going to be talked about as someone who's going to be moved as well. So there are some centers out there that, again, that the Lakers could go after. It's just, you know, what are you willing to pay, and will it move the needle that far in the right direction?
That's the point. That's the point with any trade with me. I look at both sides of it. I look at what we're getting and what we have to give up to get that, and how much better are we because of it. And there hasn't been any trades, as far as I'm concerned, that when you measure what we give up to get, any realistic trades of guys that are actually, I mean, there's all kinds of clickbait out there, but the real guys that are really, available, they don't really move the needle when you consider how much we got to give up to get them.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, Michael. And again,
Valanciunas is a 30.8 3-point shooter. 30.8% career.
But your rebounding, your size inside, he is a big guy that could go ahead and stretch the floor a little bit. But like you said, like AD,
I think Koloko will be better than him.
Your mileage may vary. Koloko struggled in his first season in Toronto. I know he had the starting job for a little while and lost it because he was just not that efficient. But I do have hopes as a young player he can develop into something a little bit more.
Well, the combination of the contract and his age versus Valanciunas, and what would you have to give up to get Jonas? Really, I mean, it's a tough move too, because
But he signed that contract knowing he's going to be moved at some point. You don't sign that. He wanted that third year on his contract because as an older player, he wasn't going to get that third year offer from anyone else. He signed that deal in Washington knowing that he's going to be moved sooner rather than later. So,
well, I think anybody traded to Washington understands.
Yeah,
what Washington is doing.
Kuzma may be gone. They've got Tsar, they've got Carrington. They've got players that they want to play there now that they want to develop into. Plus, they're tanking for next year. Again,
well, everybody's tanking for next year.
Mm-hmm. Wish we could, but we can't. Because
I think that.
Thanks, Rob.
I think the trade deadline this year is going to be a lot more interesting than the summer was.
But we did get a championship out of it, so okay. I guess I can't be mad. So
the summer is what I don't think the summer is going to be all that exciting anymore. Not with the new CBA and the play-in and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be I think the action is going to be at the trade deadline moving forward, when teams realize that they're not going to really probably be in the play-in.
I almost get a feeling this might be one of the biggest in-season trades.
It could be. It's almost nothing happened during the. It wasn't just the Lakers.
Well, nothing happened the previous trade deadline either. It was like,
it wasn't. Now
everyone knows they're all waiting for summer, and then summer came in the new CBA, and then they're all waiting for the next trade deadline.
But during the season, now you know where you stand financially, as opposed to where.
Well, you also know whether you're a buyer or a seller.
Yeah,
so it's pretty hard to do. Everybody's a damn buyer now with the play-in tournament.
And there's guys that might not have been available in the summer, that if a team gets off to a really horrid start, becomes available.
We'll see what happens. But
And
guys, Michael, you've been
Got to replace Max Christie at shooting guard, backup shooting guard. We need better than that. That's going to be our big problem, in my opinion.
well, we'll wait
well,
and
maybe
see.
Connect can fill that mix. So
I actually thought of that too, and I think Connect and Coloco have to be the two guys to fill out that 9-man roster.
we'll see what happens. Michael, any last thoughts?
Shooting guard.
Well, like I said, I'm really I really like the what we've seen from the starters, and like I said, I think we're 7 deep.
Yep.
I've been, I owe you my predictions. I'm going to make that, but I'm not going to make it until towards the end of the preseason. But the way I look at it, I'm looking at all of these teams that everybody's going to say, well, they're better than the Lakers, but because they made this move or they made that move. But the only team that I saw that had a really net positive was OKC and the moves they made. I mean, you look at T-Wolves getting Randall.
Another team we match up pretty well with.
Yeah, T-Wolves got Randall. I'm a big Randall guy, but he's an awkward fit for that team. He's not going to stretch the floor playing next to Gobert. And he's a point forward. He needs the ball. And they got guys that need the ball too. So Clay in Dallas, is he really going to help? He's going to bring his 18 points a game from last year to Dallas. They lose, what's his name? They moved, what's the guy's name?
In Dallas?
No, they moved Tim.
Hardaway.
Tim Hardaway Jr. They moved him to make room. Tim had 14 points a game. So they moved him, and then they moved their best defender. Now they've got, instead of having at least a quality lockdown guy at the 3, now they've got Clay that doesn't play that kind of defense anymore. So are they better for the moves they made? I mean, I can see the Lakers. I can make an argument for the Lakers to be a 4th seed, 5th seed. I can make an argument that they'll be the 10th seed, because I don't see a lot of distance between most of these teams. It's injuries are going to be a huge thing.
Yes.
Some of these trades that people made,
nobody in the West is as good as the Celtics or maybe the Knicks.
So it's like who, DeRozan at the Kings, he's an awkward fit for the Kings.
Yes.
He doesn't stretch the floor. He needs the ball, but the guy named De'Aaron Fox needs the ball too, to be effective. So, people made these moves, and I'm just not sold on some of these moves people made. It's going to make them that much better than the Lakers. So you'll have my picks once I get a better idea of, I don't want just the Lakers. I look at what's going on with the other teams as well before I decide.
No worries. I know L. Rob is still doing his as well. He'll be on during the course of the season on Lakerholics Spotlight. He did tell us yesterday in the chat. I do have more season predictions coming your way for those members, including LakerTom's. LakerTom's, I'm going to put his season projections for our members later today. Everybody else that will be able to see it, you'll get to see it closer to the season. But if you become a member, $2.99 a month, you'll get to see it right away. But Tom, before we head on out, Lakerholics.com. Always good conversation that's there, even if you're yelling at Jamie and Michael Hinrich is laughing, mediating this. Your thought, your latest article, what's going on at Lakerholics.com?
Well, the latest article that I wrote was basically about being very pleased with the 2 things that JJ Redick has done to improve the Lakers' offense and defense. And on offense, it's basically focusing on shooting another 5 to 6 threes a game and he wants to be a top 10 offensive and defensive team. And then on a defensive side, I think it's been a terrific move to go to switching 1 through 4. I watched that. We watched that the other day of just watching the Suns game. And there were half a dozen situations where they did the switch. They switched on 1 through 4, and there was a pass down to the guy who was rolling, And every one of those situations was just a perfect coverage by AD down in the post. It's just a perfect match to switch everything 1-4 with the drop coverage that the Lakers use for their centers. And I thought that's a tremendous help for it. Just makes it so much easier to defend when you don't have to worry about the screens, when you can just switch those screens. And it really cut down on the penetration and made it an easier task to defend threes. So I think those are two signs that I saw to dramatically improve the Lakers offensively and defensively.
Can I take one quick sentence?
Yeah.
I am not afraid of the Phoenix Suns. I am not afraid of the Phoenix Suns. They cannot defend AD. They cannot defend LeBron. And I mean, we have enough.
If we play big, Michael, that takes us to another whole extra advantage against those teams. If we've got Wood back healthy, if we get Koloko to be a backup center, if we go on trade for another
Rui's big too. I mean, he's got a 7'3" wingspan. He's 330 something. And
Rui's
anybody notice the job he did on KD?
Rui's big. I agree with you 100%. He just has to not disappear like he does at times.
Yeah. Did anybody notice the job? He did a great job on KD. Yeah, he was riding KD's grill most of the time he was assigned to him. So I'm not afraid of that.
I agree with you that there's, and it's funny when everybody tends to think that our big problem in the West will still be Denver. And
no, Denver, I don't think
that's the case anymore. I think
we're a better team than Denver.
I think the mystique is gone from that whole situation.
Well, they have the best.
What we need to do is we need to get another big.
Yeah,
that's the main thing we need to do. We need.
So does Denver. So does Denver. They don't have anybody to back up the Joker.
Last question before. Go ahead, Michael. Please.
I was going to say about Denver. I mean, they had the best starting five in basketball last year, but after that, their biggest problem was they were no depth, and then they let KCP go, so they no longer had the best starting five. Their best bench player has to take his role. And their sixth man is now Russell Westbrook. Yay!
Don't even remind me there. But Michael, always great to have you on. Tom as well, even when you're chewing me out. But before we go, you saw Rodell's question. I know you looked.
Sorry, Gerald. That's a hot topic with me.
Yes. Why is Koloko so much in your confidence, and why do you think he's going to make a difference? I mean, last year you were high, and you admit you were high on the Wood train last year.
And I'm still high on the Wood train. I think Christian just had the worst shooting year of his career, and he's proven that I think he's going to have a big bounce back year. And just like Michael and I were talking earlier, the lineup stats when he was playing with AD on the court were just excellent. Now, what I've seen from Koloko is I've looked at all of the video from him for the first year. The guy can block shots, and what we really need is an athletic guy who can jump like hell and can protect the rim whenever AD goes out, and that's the single biggest thing. He's not afraid to shoot threes. He took 12 of them, hit only one, which was a corner three to win a game, actually. But I've also seen him he's been playing these 5-on-5 pickup games with NBA quality players throughout the last year because he hasn't been approved to be playing for the league because of the blood thinning problem. And he actually has a good stroke. He can hit from outside. So he's the guy that basically I think to start off with, he's probably going to take some ramp up time, like Michael said. But I think that he can fill that key role of being the defensive stopper that we need whenever AD goes to the bench so that we have rim protection. And I think that's the single biggest defensive shortcoming that we have.
He doesn't even have to be a stopper. He just has to be better than we have.
Well, I think he has the capability of being a stopper. He's 7'1". He's got a 7'5" wingspan. And he can block shots, and he's pretty aggressive. He was 199 pounds when he came out of college. He was 230 when he finished his first year. And supposedly he's up to 240 now. Somebody that I read on,
which is important
because it gives him some bulk and size. So he doesn't look like a guy who gets pushed around like Castleton, and he's very explosive. He's got a quick jump, and he really can block. He really gets up high to block shots. So you never know. I mean, the problem that we've had is that we've got a guy like Hayes. Hayes is a great guy on offense from attacking the rim, and he can run a pick and roll, and he can dunk with anybody, and he's made some great plays in that sense. But he doesn't have those instincts on the other side of the ball. He doesn't know how to block. He doesn't know how to position himself. He doesn't know how to absorb that contact. Koloko, on the other hand, is really quick to the ball. The blocks that he made are heavy blocks where he's really swatting the ball hard off of the rim and off of the backboard. And he's a very aggressive guy. So he was considered probably to be the best second-round pick in that draft 2 years ago. And then I had the blood clotting problems, and all of a sudden he couldn't play. So
one thing about him that also gives me some interest in him is we beat out like 5 or 6 other teams for him.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of interest in him. So you know that the scouts on these other teams are high on him as well. So
including Toronto, who had him.
Toronto wanted him back. Yeah. So that gives me some hope.
Well, we'll find out for him, Christian Wood, the entire Lakers team. But for now, for your information and also great conversation on the Lakers, like the Lakers Fast Break, supplement it, please, by stopping by Lakerholics.com. All right, guys, I got through almost unscathed. I feel like I should be patting myself on the back, but Michael, truly appreciate it. It's one of the most beautiful areas of the planet that you are, and I'm so envious every time I say that. Laker Tom, always great to have you here. Jamie is in New Orleans. Yeah, he's in New Orleans right now. He's having some gumbo. Maybe he's getting some beads thrown on him right now. I don't know.
A fish concert or something?
That's always a fish concert with him.
Probably
Absolutely.
A fish concert in New Orleans.
Probably. Rodell says, are we watching highlights of Koloko or are we watching the entire game? Toronto replaced pretty quickly. They did replace him pretty quickly. Again.
Did you know yesterday, though, that I had the trifecta? I had my 3 favorite pro sports teams all starting within 15 minutes of each other, and all 3 won.
There you go.
And I watched all 3 games in sequence.
You were like Joe the other day when he had the Steelers, the Lakers, and also the Dodgers playing at exactly the same time.
I had the Yankees, the Lakers, and the 49ers all playing within.
He was like this,
5 and 5:15,
watching all 3 TVs that he could. But
no, that's too much. I
watched the Lakers live and the 49ers on replay on Prime.
I watched the Yankees live and then the Lakers replay and then the 49ers replay. And then actually yesterday I rewatched Quincy Olivares 11 minutes, which was really enjoyable too.
It's just a coincidence though, but Bronny went out. They were when Bronny got in, they were down 3. When Bronny left, they were down 15. And then the Lakers came back and won.
20 points in a row. 20 points in a row.
Yep. And second time that's happened, guys. Second time that's happened when Bronny's in the game and then Bronny leaves the game. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Well, Bronny obviously is a little.
The thing with Quincy is let's see him move up in the rotation to where he's not playing the 3rd and 4th string guys.
Yep.
Let's see what he looks like against the 2nd string guys. Or maybe even the occasional starter. That's going to be more indicative of what he can do.
Well,
I like his energy.
Yeah,
and I like his. They're
he's
talking.
He's a slotted for the 3rd point guard in my mind. But
they were talking
if he could shoot the hell out of the ball, he could even take Christie's spot.
I don't think so, because Christie's a wing, and Quincy's not. So
we'll see what happens. That's the Oliveri hype train is there. We're on it right now. But again, it is Lakerholics.com. Please be part of the conversation today as Michael tries to mediate between Jamie and Laker Tom all week long. And of course, all the other great members of Lakerholics.com. Guys, it's great having you on. We'll be back next week for another Lakerholics, I hope, spotlight as it gets closer to the season. Of course, Joe and I are probably going to come on Sunday night. Again, please become a member today. $2.99 a month gets you emojis. Laker Tom, I got to make a Michael. When I'm allowed to get more emojis, I'm going to make a Michael Hinrich emoji. I know that. You already got a Laker Tom emoji, got badges. You also get special insight of when we're going to go on air before anyone else. And then also, of course, our season predictions. I've already dropped Stone Hansen's Legend 350s. And I believe one more off the top of my head. I forget this, but I will be dropping today after this show, Laker Tom's as well. So thanks so much again for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for more great fun, as always, as part of a great Lakers weekend and Lakerholic Spotlight right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. I forgot to say aloha. Aloha. Good one. Aloha, Michael. Aloha,
Aloha.
Tom. And aloha, everyone else out there for the Lakers.